Hello everyone. So in the last video, we connected our ad block page to the corresponding REST API endpoint. Now it's time to work on the home page. So in the home page, first we have to fetch the other user blog, then we have to show that blog in the home page. Also we have to fetch our own blog and we have to show that our own blog over here just after the horizontal line. So let's work on both things and let me create another model class. And why I'm creating the another model class, so let me go on a browser where I will show you. So this is the official documentation page of our REST API. And if you go on a blog post, inside the blog post we have two endpoints. First endpoint is the get data of other user blog and get the data of our own user blog. So let me click over here, and this is the REST API endpoint for fetching the own blog data. Okay, and if you go on example response and click on a view mode, so you can see that this kind of response we are getting back from the backend, where we have a parameter called data, and parameter data consists a list, and each of the list data is a object of the add block. Okay, the block we submitted during the add block button. Okay, during the add block page, and you can see the object over here. And now let me go on the Flutter project, and you remember that in a video we created a ad block model. If I will click on ad block model, not .g file, the actual file, here you can see that this many parameter we have, and this many parameter is same as the parameter we have over here. So I told you that we will use this ad block model class in another video. Now we have to use this ad block model on this video, because basically the data is consisting a list of ad block model. So we will create another model which will be the supermodel, and that will consist a list of ad model object. So let me go on a Flutter project and let me create a new file called supermodel, and this file will be a model class for the response which we will get after we will hit the get own data REST API endpoint. Same kind of response we will get if we will fetch the other user block data also. Let me go there, and if I will click, and you will see that we are getting the same kind of response where we have a data parameter, and inside the data parameter we have a list of object, and object is same as the block data, and we can use the add block model again. So I will make one model class, and this model class will deal with the both REST API endpoint, this REST API endpoint and this REST API endpoint. That's why I told you in another video that it will help us for fetching the other user block data and own block data. Now we have to create a supermodel which will be a list of object of the ad block model. And what I will do that I will just copy this thing because I don't want to write this thing, and I will change the name because the name should be the same as we have the file name. So supermodel, and you know that we need a model class for every REST API endpoint. That's why we are creating it. And we will change the name of this ad model, and we will change the parameter also. So I'm just deleting it. Okay, all the thing, and I will change the name. So in a VS Code you have to press the Control D and D then you will see that two cursor is arises because both have the same name, add block model and add block model. So I will just change the name to the supermodel. The class name will be the supermodel, and we have to change the this name also. Okay, if you see my whole video, I do copy pasting a lot because I don't want to write the same code again and again. So now the model class is created. Now we just have to create the a constructor. In the constructor, first we have to define a variable which is a type list and consists the add block model type. Okay, and the name will be data, because if you go on a REST API documentation, we are storing the list of add block model object inside the data parameter. So the name should be the same as we have there, and this is it. And here what I have to do, that I have to initialize it, and we initialize it using this dot data. That's it. And I will hit the save, and what I will do, that I will open a new terminal. I will have to run the command because we have to generate the supermodel.g.dart file. Okay, so the command is flutter pub run build runner build. So when I will hit this command, then it will generate a new file called supermodel.g.dart file, and you know that why it's created. And I will appreciate you if you watch the other series called model class series first. If you don't have a understanding of model classes, watch that series first. That consists only 5 video, and you will get the clear idea about it. So we have to wait till the code will run, and we have to wait the supermodel.g.dart file will be created. And now you can see that a supermodel.g.dart file is created, which means everything is going fine. And what I have to do, I just forgot one thing. Over there, if you see that we defined the string ID, okay, and if you go here, and you will find that we are getting a data slash ID. So we have to just change a little bit thing, otherwise we will get an error, because the name should be the same as we are getting from the backend, and we have to define the same name over here. So we have to use the JSON key. Okay, this is JSON key, and we have to use the @ just above the parameter. Okay, because if I will use the underscore ID, it will not take, it will give the error because it's not understandable for the JSON serializable. So we had to annotate it, and how we will annotate it, name, and we have to provide the actual thing like ID not equal to, it will be a colon. Okay, now it's good. And I have to run the same thing again, the flutter pub run build run and build. Okay, it will change the structure of the add model.g.dart file. And now we have to go on the home page. Inside the home page, if you see that we are using two things, the home screen and profile screen. First, what I will do, that I will create a new file. I can create a new file anywhere in the folder. So let me create here a new file called blogs.dart file. Okay, and in the blogs.dart file, what we will gonna do, we will use the Flutter snippet for slicing the material.dart file, and we will create the stateful widget. Okay, so be patient because it will take some time. And here inside the container, instead of fetching the container, I will use the list view.builder. Okay, and I will work on it. And what I have to do is that I have to call this blogs at the both file, on the home screen file and the profile screen file. But I will show you one thing. Let's work on the first profile screen file. So let me go on a profile screen. First we will complete the profile screen part, then we will go on home screen part. And in the profile screen, let me go there and let's see what we have. Actually we have to go on a main profile file, because here we have to call it, and just after the DOP and horizontal line we have to call the blocks. So here we have the horizontal line, and I will add some sized box and add the height 20. Maybe this video will be long, or this video will be not completed fully, because the home screen part and profile screen part both are connected. Okay, so maybe this video will be long, or I will cover this whole thing on a two video. So here we have to call this blocks. So I will call this over here blocks, and I will slash over here, and I will use the control dot and import the file. I will hit the save, and let me go on a blogs.dart file, and we will get a error because we didn't slash anything here. And what I have to do, that I have to just create a new thing. I will just use the string a URL of the endpoint, and I will initialize it over here, this dot URL. You will get a clear understanding after the process will be completed why I'm doing it, because I'm creating a one single file, and this single file will be responsible for the home screen and the profile screen. Okay, so you will, this will make sense after I will show you the demo, so please be patient. Okay, so this URL part I will do, and now we have to call the REST API endpoint for fetching the own block data. And you know that for fetching the own block data or calling the REST API endpoint, first we have to import the network handler class. So let me import the network handler class. I will create an instance of the network handler class. I will create an instance. So I created an instance of the network handler, and what I have to do, that I have to create an instance of the supermodel class, because with help of model class only we will fetch the data and convert the data from the JSON string to the normal object. So I will import the supermodel part also, and I will create an instance of the supermodel. Here I have the supermodel, and I will just initialize the supermodel part also, and we have to call the init state because we have to fetch the data. And here I will create a new method called void fetch data, and in the fetch data it will again a sync type, and I will use the var response and await. Inside the here we have to call the network handler, and inside the network handler we have the get method. If you remember, if you forgot that, I will just let you know the quick thing. I mean, let you give a get class. We created a get class, and we are just calling the get method over here. Where is that? Here we are calling the get method over there. So I will use this get method, and we have to use this URL. And you know that in a stateful widget, to get the here URL, we have to use the widget.url, and now it's okay. Now we have a response, and we call the REST API endpoint, and we got a response on a response variable. Now what we have to do, we have to just use this supermodel now. So here we will use the supermodel. I will use the supermodel like this, and we have to use the supermodel dot from JSON method, which is we created over here. So if you remember the model class series, we use the same thing for fetching out the list type of data, and now we have to pass this response over here. So basically what it will do, that it will just fetch the data, put it on a response, and now with help of supermodel class we are converting the JSON string to the normal object type. Okay, I will hit the save and all the data will come on the response. And what I have to do, that I will just quickly give a view of the get method. Here we already decoded the response.body. Okay, that's why we are not using over here json.decode bracket response.body. Don't be confused. Okay, now we have all the blocks inside the supermodel object, and what we have to do, that here we have to use that supermodel. Okay, and now the complexity will be arises. uh, in the one of the video of the ad blog, we created the overlay card. Okay, you remember that, and I told you that we will use this overlay card again, and this is the time that we will use the overlay card. I will create a new file called blog card. So don't be confused, I am making you more confident with Flutter, because Flutter is just reusable the code. I mean, we don't have to write the same code again and again. And here I'm just copying it and I'm just pasting it over here. I mean, here what we have to do, that now we are fetching the data from the backend, and in the backend we stored the images. So let me just change the only card file, then I will explain you that why I'm creating this. So the name will be log card. Okay, and here we use the picked file. Now we are just getting the image in term of the REST API endpoint. We don't have to use this. Okay, we don't have to use the title also. And what we have to use, I will let you know. Just wait a minute. So all the thing will be the same. Just let it be there, and go on a Blogs.dart file. And here what I have to do, that is for the Listview.builder, what we do, that we have to use the build context. Okay, maybe you are a little bit of confused that why we are doing this thing, but at the end you will get a clear understanding. So for the Listview.builder, in the item builder, first we provide the build context, and second we provide the index. And here we can provide our own custom widget. The widget can be anything. Okay, so the block card is kind of widget, so I have to use the block card over here. Okay, so block card is a custom widget, that's why I'm using over here. And in the block card, what we will do, first let me use the item count first, then you will know. uh, in the Listview.builder we have a second parameter called item count, and the number of count we will get from the supermodel. This supermodel will help us, but I'm thinking to change the layout. Instead of using the Listview.builder, let me use another widget. I will use the column, otherwise the Listview builder will give an issue. The issue is simply that this is already a list view. If I will use a list view inside the list view, then I have to wrap this list view, I mean this Blogs.dart one list view, in another container. That will give an issue. Instead of that, I will use the column, and the column, how we will use it. So what I will do, that we have to use the supermodel, and first we need to create the list of the add block model, because inside the supermodel class we have a parameter called data. And if I will not define the data like this, I mean I'm just defining a local variable called data over here, and inside the supermodel dot data, at the time of initializing, that will be null. and anything which is null will give an error. That's why I initialize a local variable called data with the empty string. And here inside the fetch data, I will use the set state, and I will set the state of the data to the supermodel.data where we fetch the actual blocks. Okay, now I just have to call this thing inside the init state, because when the blocks will be called inside the main profile, then automatically the init state will run. That's why we are calling it. Okay, now everything is fine. Now what I have to do, that I will just hit the save, and inside the column we have a parameter called children, and here we will implement the children dynamically. And how we can make the children widget as a dynamically. So we have a one additional method called map that will be applied on any kind of list. Okay, so inside the data we are storing the all the blocks which we fetched, and data we will apply a map method. Okay, and in the map I will just change the name to the item. Instead of returning a null, I will return the block card. So I will return the block card, and what I have to do, that I have just changed this thing to to list. So the error is gone, and I will hit the save. And just one thing is that we have to pass the two thing over here in a block card. Let me go on a block card. Your confusion will be sorted out. Just wait a minute. In the block card, I will create two variables. The first variable will be your add block model instance, because I will let you know that why I'm doing it. And second variable will be network handler instance. Okay, and here inside the constructor of block card, I will use this dot add block model and this dot network handler, and I will hit the save. And both will have to use the final because we have to make it immutable. Okay, now hit the save, and now go on a blocks. Here we are getting the item. So inside the data we are storing all the objects. So let me go on the browser in the blog server. Here in the data we have the object. Suppose we have three objects. Okay, so here in the item we will get the each of the item and each of the objects. Suppose we have a three object, then the map will map the, I mean the map method will be map the all these three object into the block card widget, and we will provide this item over here. So the item is a object of the add block model. Okay, that's why inside the block card I assigned a add block model variable. I mean I declare a add block model variable, and here in the add block model I will assign this item, and I also have to pass this network handler. And why I'm passing it, I will also let you know. Okay, I'm just passed the network handler, and I will hit the save, and I'm getting an error. I have to add one additional curly braces and hit the save, then the error will be gone. Everything is fine. Base data is called, and we assign the data over here. Now what I have to do, that I have to go on a main profile, and you can see that I defined one additional variable called URL, this dot URL. So we have to pass the URL over here. So these blocks will be used on a home page and a profile page at the both places. For the home page, we will call the other user endpoint. So other user blog data endpoint. And for the profile page, we will use this endpoint for the fetching our own blog. So the single class blogs will be used over here in a home page. That's why I created all those things. And here I will pass the URL. I will explain the whole thing again in a detail to make you understandable. And inside the blogs, we have to go on a block card. Inside the block card, we have an object of the data, a single object of the data, and instead of using the file image, now we have to use the network image, because now we are dealing with the REST API endpoint, and for the fetching the image from the REST API endpoint, we use the network image. And if you remember on a network handler, let me go on a network handler. In the network handler, we have a network image method, which is returning a network image. We have a get image method, which is returning a network image widget. And we are just passing the image name. In the main profile, we use it on the here or here to fetch the profile image. So in the network handler, what I did, I just changed the variable name. Earlier it was the username, but right now I changed the name to the image name. So we had to use this get image over here. So let me use the network handler. And in the network handler, not this network handler, we have to use our network handler instance, and we have the get image method. Where is the get image method? Here. And in the get image, we have to provide the image name. For each of the blog, the image name is the blog ID. And how we will get the blog ID? We will get the blog ID from the add blog model.id, because add block model will consist all the parameter of the blog: cover image, id, username, title, body, like, comment, and all. So maybe that part is already clear for you. And instead of using the normal title, we will have to use the adblock model dot title, because we stored that thing. And I will just explain you whole thing again, so don't bother about it. And now everything is completed. I will just hit the refresh button, and I will go on a profile page, and here you can see the all the blog are fetched. And we created the overlay card, and that overlay card are shown here. I mean, we just modified this thing. These two images are fetched from the REST API endpoint, and this is the title. This one is also title. As of now, we have a two block for the own user. So this is it. Now let me just explain you whole things. We work on the ad block page. In the ad block page, we were to submit the blog. We want to submit some blog to the backend. Now, when I started this video, I told you that we have to work on a home page and profile page for showing all the blog of the other user or our own user. Okay, so what I did, I first made a additional file called Blogs.dart that will deal with the both of the pages, the home page and the profile page, because I don't want to make the separate file for the home page and a profile page for showing the same kind of blog. That's why I make a single file. Inside the single file, because we need a URL, because in a home page we will call a different REST API endpoint, and for the profile page we will call a different REST API endpoint. And just created a variable called URL. And the main profile, because in this video I am showing you that how we will show our blog on a main profile page. So I call that blogs over here just after the horizontal line, and I pass a REST API endpoint, okay, for the fetching the own blog data. This is the REST API endpoint. You can get it from the REST API endpoint documentation. And then inside the blocks, we call this REST API endpoint on a fetch data method. And for fetching the data, first we have to call the method inside the init state. Okay. Now, after fetching the data, what we did that we stored that thing on a response, and here we created another model called supermodel. Okay, in the supermodel, what we did, so let me go on supermodel. What we did that we stored the data inside the data parameter. Why? Because we are getting this kind of response from the backend, and we have to make our model classes according to the response we are getting. So we are getting all the object inside the data parameter in form of list. That's why in supermodel.dart, I created a list which is a type of add block model, and the parameter name is data because we have a parameter name data over here. Okay, then to map all those things, we created a supermodel.g.dart file, and we used this supermodel on the blogs.dart file. So after getting a response, the response is in the JSON format on a JSON string. Then we had to map those things on a model classes. That's why we use this parameter, and we stored all data in the supermodel class. And we created another variable called data, which is also a list type, because we had to set the state after fetching the data from the backend. We had to set the state. That's why we made another variable, and we set the state and store the data which we fetch from the backend to the data variable. Now data is updated, and with help of that data, we map all the object to a block card over here. The block card is a custom widget that is the same as the overlay card which we created. Okay, now we just change a little bit thing that we have to use the network image over here because we are fetching the data from the REST API endpoint, and we had to change the title also because all the things are stored inside the add block model instance. So this is it, and we will use same blogs.dart file in a home page, but I will show you that thing in a next video. This video is very long and I think it's very confusing. Please comment it down if you didn't understand. I will make a shorter video to help you out. Okay, and we will work also on the UI part. Right now the blocks are not looking great. We also have a like, comment, and share thing also. So let's make another video on a block card to customize our UI. Okay, thank you and happy coding. See you on the next video. Please share the video, like the video. Thank you.